can't believe I'm saying this, but Real Madrid might soon be forced to pull the plug with Don Carlo.
On the league leaders, there are reports out of Spain from Diario AS that the Real Madrid hierarchy have doubts about Carlo Ancelotti and that he could be replaced.
It doesn't sound right, but that's the reality right now. That the current holders of the Champions League, Real Madrid, might not even make it past the group stage. That's never happened before. Ultimately, it gets down to the manager, and that's the million-dollar question. Is Carlo Ancelotti that bad now? The game against Liverpool just added increased pressure to an already tense situation. The big games this season, the ones Madrid used to look forward to playing in, it's almost as if they're dreading them now. In the same season, they've already lost to AC Milan, Barcelona, and Liverpool. And in the game against the Reds, Carlo Ancelotti was quick to admit what he'd just seen.
It's a fair result. Liverpool deserve to win. They have a real good dynamic at the moment. They're in great form. They're really switched on, connected, playing with a high intensity.
This is becoming a very disturbing theme for Ancelotti this season. Against both Milan and Barcelona, his words followed a similar pattern. The opponents were better. The first major question here is, can Carlo Ancelotti still lead this Madrid team to success? Using this season to judge? The answer's not that straightforward. See guys, with Ancelotti's Real Madrid team, the general belief was that they always found a way. That magic night against PSG in 2022, or the one against City, it set the tone for what was to come. Over that period, we've seen Ancelotti's Madrid team come back from the seemingly dead over and over again. 2-0 down against Liverpool in 2023, they somehow turned it around and won 5-2. Last season, Bayern Munich were minutes away from the final, and they somehow found 2 late goals to swing it. That used to be the belief with Ancelotti's Madrid team, but the 2024-25 season is proving to be otherwise. Real Madrid isn't finding a way anymore. Still believe if Dortmund had just managed to hold a bit, they could have gotten a result against Madrid. I'm not the only one that sees it like that. Barcelona came along and proved the point. 1-0 down? 2-0? Even at 3? Some still thought it'd be business as usual. But when that 4th goal hit, you just knew it was game over. Then Milan came along and now Liverpool, the same team they beat in the same veneer 2 seasons back. They lost 2-0, which brings us to another major issue with Ancelotti this season. It's the way Madrid has been playing that's worrying. Someone tell Alex we're dealing with 3 now, but he's right regardless. Carlo Ancelotti is under the spotlight, and that's because his tactics are getting questioned. Does he actually have tactics though?
I think our biggest strength is that he finds a way to let a lot of the boys play with freedom. I think, some teams are a bit more structured in terms of the passing styles and the patterns of play, and it's really interesting to watch, and it's definitely difficult to play against. But I think one of our kind of biggest strengths is that we're so kind of off the cuff.
You've probably seen this one before, Bellingham explaining what Ancelotti is about and how he sets his team up, in a way that he believes he can get the best out of his players. The truth is, it seems like this idea is getting phased out now. Think about it, the best teams in the world at the moment all have recognised game structures with tactical geniuses at the top. Real Madrid lost to a tactically superior Liverpool team. Slot's men controlled the game, and Madrid never looked in any danger of a threat, even with Mbappe on.
I think if you start at a new club, you want to implement your playing style as fast as possible. That was not that difficult because the playing style is so similar to Jurgen's, especially without the ball, so we both want to press really high. And there are certain details maybe with the ball that we do a bit different, but not that many.
Just listening to Arne Slot talk before the game, it's easy to tell this is a man who had a plan, a structure he wanted his team to play with, and it worked. Carlo Ancelotti's lack of proper tactics is being found out. Still on the Liverpool game, this tackle on Conor Bradley kind of emphasises the point. Madrid under Ancelotti relies on individuals rather than the team, and when that gets found out, it becomes a problem. The stats do show Madrid having 8 attempts on goal, with 3 on target, but again, watching the game, they look toothless going forward. Wonder if it was Ancelotti or Mbappe's idea to switch roles, but he played in all 3 positions up top throughout the 90 and couldn't affect the game.
9 goals in the first 9 games. It's not happening now, but something will click. The problem really is at the back and in the middle. Without Toni Kroos, there is no player that dictates the tempo.
At the back, in the middle, that's where it's at for Real Madrid, and that's where so far they've been getting caught. Again, just using Liverpool as an example, we've seen what Arne Slot has done with this guy. Liverpool needed a midfield 6 replacement this summer window, and Arne Slot has somehow turned Ryan Gravenberch into the solution. The point is that both Slot and the club identified the problem and found the fix. On Ancelotti and Madrid's part, it's actually annoying to think these guys know what the issue is, but would rather wait till the house burns down before they fix it. I mean, stop to think about it. Ever heard of Real Madrid signing a player in the January transfer window? It never happens, and that's because it's the club's priority to rather wait until the summer to get replacements for what they need. So how has this affected Ancelotti? Well, for starters, he's had to play players out of position, and they're getting caught out. While he can do a job in there, in recent games it's been very clear that Lucas Vazquez isn't a right-back, and his lack of positional awareness is beginning to cost the team. Before the emergence of Raul Asensio, he even experimented with Aurelien Tchouameni at centre-back. Get replacements? Well, he'd rather wait. For years, he's been like a tinker man finding the right balance for the team, but so far, it just isn't there anymore. Again, this is down to the replacements. I mean, losing a player like Toni Kroos was huge, but you'd have expected a club like Real Madrid to be on the move for a replacement. They didn't sign anyone. And now the lack of a player similar to Kroos' ability has been on display. This season in that Madrid midfield, no one can dictate the tempo. Luka Modric can attempt to, same with Jude Bellingham, but again it's not their play style. That isn't how both play. The fact that he's been willing to experiment rather than recognise an actual transfer fix, it's just off. Another thing with Ancelotti is, it's almost as if he trusts his players too much.
In PSG, he connected well with his teammates, he linked up well. Is it a lack of confidence or what? Could be a lack of confidence maybe. Sometimes when you have moments in the game when things aren't quite working out for you.
Yeah, you wouldn't be expecting him to come out and say otherwise about Mbappe, for example. But the point here is that the best managers in the world recognise when something isn't working and find solutions to it. Guys like Thierry Henry seem to understand the idea even better than Ancelotti does. Let's take Pep Guardiola and Erling Haaland for example. When Haaland first arrived, in the few weeks he'd spent at the club leading up to the Community Shield versus Liverpool, the situation was in the same class as Mbappe. Sometimes we saw Haaland make runs his teammates either didn't catch, or his teammates waited for him to make the move but he didn't. Even the little issue with Kevin De Bruyne. After that, we saw Haaland gradually begin to evolve and adapt to the rest of his teammates. Coming back to Mbappe and Ancelotti, there's been no progress. The season started in August, it's December, 4 months in, and there has been no sign of Mbappe either improving or adjusting properly to his teammates. But I tell you what, there has been a sign of so far. Football Historia drop in quality videos like this back to back. On your part, all you've got to do is hit that subscribe button down below.
They're still young players though, and I think Ancelotti doesn't always throw his trust in young players. He throws his trust in tried and tested players. So I think Endrick is quite new and young, and I think if you're to put him in the wrong situation, you may ruin him too soon.
There's another part about Ancelotti's system that's kind of weird. Trying to see it from his angle at a team like Real Madrid, it's only the very best you expect to see. But then again, the fact he rarely uses young players, well, it's odd. Arda Güler had an amazing performance in the win against Leganes, then starts in the Champions League against Liverpool, playing out of position I should add, and is one of the first to get axed off in the 55th minute. The idea with this is that alongside Endrick, Ancelotti rarely gives opportunities to his youngsters, even in the games you expect him to. So, right, if we know his lack of tactics is costing the team, what's the future for Ancelotti? Could Real Madrid actually sack Carlo Ancelotti? Well, there's a high possibility this could happen, and that's because it won't be the first time. He won the Champions League with Los Blancos in 2014, but a few months later, got sacked. That time, though, it wasn't exactly on the back of poor results. Ancelotti himself admitted the reason for his sacking back then as the biggest mistake of his career. This time, however, it won't be about the money. The performances on the pitch have been poor, especially in the big games. The ones that make Madrid who they are, a team that performs when the spotlight is on. Losing to Barcelona, AC Milan and now Liverpool, Ancelotti's future isn't a questionable topic anymore, it's in the balance. Still, for all that's been said, it's important to remember who we're dealing with here.
What is the main difference between Ancelotti today and 10 years ago? I am 10 years older.
While he joked about not much changing, the reality is over the last 10 years, Ancelotti has proved himself to be one of the most successful coaches of all time. We're dealing with the only man to win a league title in the top 5 European leagues. led Real Madrid to La Decima, then came back and added 2 more. He's a winner, but more importantly, he's got experience. I mean, look at his CV. He's managed the likes of Bayern Munich, PSG, Chelsea, AC Milan. Ancelotti is no stranger to bad experiences for top sides, and more often than not, when they've come, he's been the guy to turn it around. The problem he's dealing with, however, is the club he's at. It's Real Madrid, and Ancelotti will know firsthand that this is a club whose only tradition is to win, nothing else. Time won't be on his side. One result can change everything, and in his case, he's already gotten 3 big ones against him. Again though, we've also got to factor in that he's had to deal with issues that aren't exactly in his control. You can't talk about Real Madrid now without talking about Mbappe, and to this end, Ancelotti was put in an uncomfortable position.
Obviously, the president off. So how did this go? So he rang you and said, "I'm signing Kylian Mbappe. What do you think about him?"
I said, no!
The more you look at it, the more you realize the idea of signing Mbappe was more of Florentino Perez and the Real Madrid socios than Carlo Ancelotti. He already had a fantastic team he got going, and getting handed Mbappe has imbalanced that. He's been forced to change the way his team plays and new tactics, and is still trying to find a way to fit the Frenchman into his team. While he's dealing with Mbappe, Ancelotti's also been very unfortunate with his current squad. Real Madrid's injury list this season is a joke. Guys like Thibaut Courtois and Eduardo Camavinga have already suffered multiple injury setbacks, and we're not even halfway into the season. The likes of Dani Carvajal and Eder Militao, due to ACL injuries, aren't scheduled to play until the next season, and players like Tchouameni and Rodrigo are missing with injury. It's been so bad that Real Madrid has even had to change policy because of it. Raul Asensio might have become a pretty decent addition to the side lately, but it's become very rare to see Real Madrid academy product feature for the first team, not to talk of playing in the Champions League. That's what Ancelotti's dealing with. See guys, from all we've said so far, you should be able to understand that the Ancelotti situation is a very tricky one. He's, on one hand, the only manager who seems to understand Real Madrid in recent years. His success at the club in both spells are testament to this. The other guy who's managed to be as successful as him? Zidane. Well, he learned his trade under Ancelotti. It just furthers the point. Ancelotti understands how the club works, and Florentino Perez knows that. That could be the reason why we haven't seen Madrid let him go yet. But then again, given that he's been sacked before, you wouldn't put it past history repeating itself. Real Madrid is a results-based team, and they haven't been getting that so far, meaning Ancelotti's career is in the balance. So what's the verdict on Don Carlo then? Well, it seems like his tactics and ideas, bold as this claim might be, are becoming outdated. Call them the new school of managers if you like, but there's been a tactical revolution reshaping Europe. The likes of Arne Slot, Hansi Flick, and Simone Inzaghi, all these guys are coming up with different customs and tactics that are working. And in turn, you've got teams and managers trying to replicate the same idea. Unless Ancelotti can adapt, and adapt fast, he'll get found out. While individual quality goes a long way, it doesn't go the entire way. Trying to win the Champions League or La Liga like they did last season will require more effort than the team is showing now. Ancelotti has to act fast. He's got a deadline with the situation where if the results don't change and the fans don't see the type of football they expect from his team, he's gone. If Real Madrid does sack him though, who's going to be the man to replace him? Names like Xabi Alonso are already on the table. Same with even Santiago Solari on an interim basis. Now guys, there's been the argument that Carlo Ancelotti isn't all that as a manager, and the only reason he's been successful is because of the teams he's managed in his career. And to this end, his spell at Everton comes into play. Did he jump ship to go back to Real Madrid? Well, for starters, it's also important to note that similar managers have been at the top clubs he's also been at and failed. They succeeded in there only goes to show the respect that should be put on his name. And him jumping ship from Everton to Real Madrid? Come on, let's be fair. Who wouldn't? And he also had the Toffees playing some of the best football the club has witnessed in recent years at that point. Dominic Calvert-Lewin was in proper form, and he even somehow managed to convince James Rodriguez to join the club, and the Colombian began with an impact. To say Carlo Ancelotti is a bad manager would be an overstatement. However, what we are witnessing now is a change in the game, where the tacticians are taking over, and on his part, dealing with an imbalanced squad and multiple injury issues seems to be more of the problem than anything else. Just like Ancelotti, over in Manchester, another famous manager is having to deal with the pressure. Is he cutting himself now? That's serious. So is the team's form. Manchester City has been in the worst dip of results since Guardiola took over, and it's even leading many to believe the downfall of the team is finally here. Click the next video to find out how true this is.